For 2,000 years, there's been one prophecy that has sparked just endless debate and fascination. It's like a roadmap to the end of the age, and it was delivered by Jesus himself. Today, we're going to deconstruct that very prophecy from Matthew chapter 24. So what are the signs we're supposed to be looking for? And how in the world can we tell the difference between the beginning of the end and the end itself?
Okay, so let's set the scene. You're on the Mount of Olives. The incredible Temple of Jerusalem is glittering down below. Now, Jesus has just told his disciples that this magnificent building, the absolute center of their entire world, is going to be completely destroyed, not one stone left on another. Can you just imagine the shock? Stunned, they pull him aside, and they ask him a question that is literally going to echo through all of history.
And this is the question that unlocks everything. It's actually kind of three questions rolled into one. When is the temple going to fall? What's the sign of your return? And what's the sign of the end of the age? Now, Jesus' answer, it isn't a simple date on a calendar. It unfolds as a sequence of events in three very distinct phases.
So, first things first. Jesus doesn't just jump straight to the grand finale. Nope, he starts with the signs that signal the beginning of the end. And to describe this whole initial phase, he uses this powerful and, deeply human metaphor. He calls them birth pains. The Greek word here is odin, and it is such a perfect analogy. Jesus is basically saying, look, think of these early signs like labor contractions, They might start out kind of far apart, maybe even manageable, but over time, they get more intense and they get more frequent, and they signal that the main event is definitely on its way. These aren't the end itself, but they are the unmistakable signs that the end is coming.
So, what are these initial birth pains? Well, the text lists things like global conflict, natural disasters, widespread deception, and even persecution. But, and this is a huge but, Jesus gives a crucial warning right alongside these signs. He says, don't be alarmed. As he puts it in verse 6, these things must happen, but the end is still to come. So the critical point here is that these signs are a definite warning, but they are absolutely not the final act.
Because after the birth pains, things get serious, really serious. The intensity just ratchets up dramatically, and we enter what the text calls the Great Tribulation. Now, this phase has a very specific trigger. Jesus references an old prophecy from the book of Daniel about something called the Abomination that causes desolation, showing up in the holy place. Now, to his disciples, this would have been a deeply, deeply shocking idea. It points to some profound act of sacrilege that kicks off the most difficult time in all of human history. And that sign, it triggers a command of pure absolute urgency. The command isn't to fight, it's not to protest, it's to run. Immediately. Don't even go back in the house for anything. Don't grab your coat from the field. The instruction is to literally drop everything and flee, which signals a moment of just extreme and imminent danger. And here's why the flight is so urgent. Jesus describes this period in the most severe terms possible. This isn't just a difficult time. It's a tribulation so great that he says nothing in the past or in the future will ever compare. Think about that. The text actually says that if this period of time wasn't cut short, no one would survive. Now, right in the middle of all this intense chaos, deception is going to be at an all-time high. You'll have people popping up claiming to be the Messiah, doing great signs and wonders. They'll be saying, look, he's hiding out in the desert, or hey, he's over here in the secret rooms. And this is where Jesus draws this incredibly sharp line in the sand. Any return that is secretive or localized or requires someone to point it out to you is by definition false. The true return, it will need zero announcement. Which brings us to the climax of the prophecy. After all the warnings and the tribulation, the tone shifts completely. We move into the final, awe-inspiring event itself, the glorious and completely unmistakable return. This right here is the key metaphor you have to remember. Lightning. Just think about it for a second. It's not secret, right? It's not a regional event. It lights up the entire sky, instantly, and everybody sees it at the exact same time. That, Jesus says, is what his return will be like. A single, public, globally visible event that is absolutely impossible to miss or misinterpret. And it's going to be accompanied by signs that no false prophet could ever hope to fake. We're not talking about earthly turmoil anymore. This is the very fabric of the cosmos being shaken. The sun and moon going dark, stars falling from the sky. These are celestial events on a scale that leaves absolutely no room for doubt.
And then comes the final moment. Not some secret arrival, but a visible appearance in the sky for every single tribe on Earth to see, simultaneously. The confusion is just over. The deception is silenced. The return is public, it's powerful, and it's glorious. So after laying out this incredible multi-phase prophecy, Jesus does something really interesting. He pivots. He shifts from telling us what will happen to telling us how we should live in light of it all.
And this leads us to the essential question, right? In verse 36, Jesus says it plainly. No one, not even him, only the Father, knows the exact day or hour. So, if the timing is a complete secret, why give us this entire roadmap of signs in the first place? What's the practical purpose of all this?
And this, right here, is the heart of the entire message. This prophecy wasn't given to satisfy our curiosity or to turn us all into timeline experts. It was given to shape our character. The whole point of the signs is not to predict the day, but to live at the sense of urgency and faithfulness, so that no matter when that day comes, we're found ready. So the final question Matthew 24 leaves us with isn't, when will he return, but what kind of person will I be when he does?